In our ever-evolving modern world, developments in science and technology continue to propel society forward. While medical advances have afforded people to live healthier, longer lives, a substantial number of unmet needs persist across several diseases today.
There's about 18,000 diseases spread across the human population, and of those, still more than half, about 10,000 of them, don't have treatments. And the reason for that is oftentimes the diseases are suffered by small patient populations. There's inadequate disease diagnostic tools out there, and there's just not a comprehensive enough understanding of the underlying biology of the disease. And that becomes a challenge when you move into human diseases from animal and preclinical models. They often don't translate, and that's one of the biggest challenges that we're confronted with many of these untreated diseases.
Several prevalent chronic diseases are associated with having unmet medical needs, a broad range of which can give rise to fibrosis, a condition caused by excessive accumulation of scar tissue.
The scar tissue develops in organs, replaces its normal function, and the organ starts to fail and eventually stops working completely and ultimately needs to be replaced by things like dialysis or by oxygen supplementation or transplantation. So some of the diseases that give rise to fibrosis are actually very common diseases that we encounter, things like cirrhotic liver disease, heart failure, pulmonary fibrosis, kidney failure. They're all very common.
With several, often serious consequences, fibrosis can lead to distortion of tissue architecture and loss of organ function. Consequently, severe fibrosis is estimated to account for up to 45% of all deaths in the developed world.
Whether we do physical activity, whether we walk, whether we bike, as long as there's sufficient oxygen to the muscles, we don't get tired. People that get fibrosis of the lungs get tired immediately. They even can't walk for a few minutes. They can't walk up the stairs up and down because for them, this is an exhaustive exercise. So when fibrosis hits an organ, it really limits the functionality of the organ in a dramatic way.
Fibrosis in our kidneys in Alport syndrome over time causes end-stage renal failure. That means that our kidneys stop functioning, stop being able to do the job of eliminating toxins from our bodies. So for many, their journey includes dialysis and/or kidney transplant.
Fibrotic diseases have very limited treatment options, many of which are often associated with poor compliance, toxic side effects, and limited efficacy.
It's been very difficult to find novel drugs, and I think there are two reasons for that. First reason is fibrotic diseases are slow diseases, and so it might take you years if you can't measure it in an accurate way. And then the second reason is our understanding has been very limited. We had some ideas about the beginning of the disease and a good idea on the ending, but the mid-stage, that really has been a black box for many years.
So at the moment with pulmonary fibrosis, we're lucky that we have two treatments. But unfortunately, neither of those treatments reverses the damage to the lung that is caused by fibrosis. In fact, all they do is slow things down. And not only that, the drugs have lots of side effects, so patients struggle to take them. So we really need drugs that are easier for people to take.
Now, developments in drug discovery are targeting fibrosis with patients at the core. From the preclinical stage to trials and beyond, collaboration with patients, healthcare professionals, and industry partners is helping to redefine the landscape.
Fibrosis is involved in about 45% of all disease mortality in the Western world. What FiberCor is doing is we're starting with early patient samples to really make sure we understand how the disease is progressing within the patient population. But beyond that, it takes the understanding of a drug hunting team and really driving that basic research to a molecule that's going to be safe in humans and is going to get into the clinic. And we're approaching the disease much later, where it's typically diagnosed, where we hope to not only slow the progression, but actually to reverse the disease there.
Alport Syndrome Foundation has developed relationships in an ongoing way with the FDA, the NIH, the American Society of Nephrology, and other groups that are involved in kidney disease clinical trials in the United States. And in these relationships, we're able to express to them the needs and wants and desires and current challenges of Alport syndrome patients.
Helping to gain deeper insights into the underlying mechanisms of fibrosis, patient-derived data provides invaluable information for research and development, ensuring that therapeutic candidates meet the highest standards of efficacy and safety.
To develop a new drug, you need a starting point. You need a map to direct you. So we can extract the molecular data out of the tiniest sliver of human biopsy tissue, interrogate that, get the molecular signatures, and then we can match them with the data of the patients. And so we merge those two together. And finally, we've developed a platform to validate those molecular signatures that tell us that we're heading in the right direction.
So over the last 20 years, we've learned how to best identify patients for trials. We've learned how to recruit those patients into trials. We've seen a growth in clinical trial centers. And not only that, with the success of having two drugs available for our patients, we've been better able to work out how you go from the laboratory through to clinical practice and trials to ensure that we can seamlessly develop new drugs for our patients.
Transformative treatments that tackle the root causes of fibrosis are leading to better outcomes and improved quality of life for patients, now and into the future.
We believe the collaborative approach is vital to move forward with Otsuka Pharmaceuticals and the Alport Syndrome Foundation. We've got the expertise of a big pharmaceutical company, but we've also got the drive and the motivation of a small biotech, and we're working with the best-in-class scientific advisory board that's making sure FiberCor is leveraging technology in both biomarkers, which are really important for making sure that your patients are responding, but also that you're headed in the right direction from dose prediction and all these types of things that are really important in getting the right drug that's both efficacious and safe and is going to impact patients' lifestyle.